Hey there, folks. Let's do today's CSS Battle Daily Target. Oh, I like this. All right, what is this? One way to think about this is as a pattern. So if I use my blank template, I mean, obviously it's a pattern. All these things are a pattern of some kind, but the recurring pattern is a linear gradient that goes from this red, has a hard stop at maybe 20 pixels, might be 10 pixels, to blue. Right, so like that. So yeah, it's probably 10 pixels. Now, if I turn that into a variable, we'll do a v for variable today, and do var dash dash v, and then I put it at a size. I would do 40 pixels, or do 0, 0. That's my background position, and then do a size of 20 pixels, 100 pixels, and then do a no repeat. I can make that little chunk. Right, so let's put that into position and see what that looks like. This is not very efficient. No, it's not. Truly. 100 pixels over. Let's do that. We'll do the leftmost one, 9, and then down to 120, and then sets a height of 70, 60, 50, and then that's a width of 60. Not 600, 60, 70, 80. So that's a pattern. And I could do that again, and I could do that, well, 5 times, right? Let's do it. We'll do it for fun. There's the second one. What's that? 190 over 190, 200, 10, 20, 30. Is this efficient? No, it is not efficient. Why would it be efficient? And then that's going to be a little higher, 110. So the width is, it's some smaller number, 30, and then it's at 40 pixels. Okay, so I'm just way too over. If I'm following through with the bit, right, like 140, 50, 60, 70, 80, 180, and then it's wider, 40, and then it's taller to 100. No, 90. Here it is, 90. Okay, and then the next one is lower, 200, 180, 170. Right, so that's another way to do it. And one more, which is a small guy. And I guess it's similar to these guys. I'm going to put this at where we got. Oh, I've lost the plot. Look out. Let's put this on the topmost so I can see the darn thing. And I need a comma. And I need it to be, what is it, 50 wide? Yeah, it's 50 wide. And then how tall is it? That's 40. It's going to be 40 tall and 50 wide. No, that can't be right. Is that right? Yeah, 40 wide and 50 tall. That's that. And then I need the position to be correct. Might be 50%, 50%. Almost. Yeah, it's in the middle on the x-axis, but how about 100 pixels, 10, 20? So like that. And then if I do a background color, there it is. So I've reused the same pattern 5 times explicitly to get that look. Now, I could do a repeating linear gradient. The problem is that if it's up and down, this is a different width, right? But because it's got this consistent tall part, that's how that works. Another thing that I could do is on an object I could do an inset box shadow to do a 10 pixel inset box shadow. Let's minify and unit replace and see what score we get, just as your example. All right. So how to optimize this? I feel like the linear gradient will keep as a variable. And let's do the nested template and see how far we get. I'm going to save that for safekeeping. Put the yellow on the background. Yeah, and then I'm going to we'll start with the red. And then narrow these margins. 8, 81, 82. And if so what do I need to do? Okay, so if I do, let's block in the yellow. Let's cover this with yellow and see what conic gradient I need to do. Conic gradient, conic of the yellow, 50%, and then I need a transparent, 75%, and then the yellow again. So I get that. If I put it in the upper corner with 0, 0 background position, and then give it the width. And so I've not really thought this through. So I'll only be able to do this on a repeat Y basis, unfortunately. So this makes it not a great technique. At pixels, 50 pixels, 90. 90, 80, 70, 80, 90. So it's at 90, but really this is about the width being too much, 90 pixels. But so so you can kind of see what I'm getting at. It needs to be taller. Again, I don't want to follow this thread, so I'm wrong. No, not doing that. But let's use the linear gradient that I just had there. If I do a var v, and so there, that's the start. And then if I give it a height, yeah, no, this is all just bad, right? No. So blank template. Forget I said that. And what if we did this as 5 elements for the sake of argument? How would we do that? And then we could even simplify it further. We do border top 10 pixels solid. That, and then the background is that. So you can make that shape, right? And if I do 30, and then make the height 60, margin 30 and 0. Oh, no, so 2, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 72. That's a kind of a way to do it, and then put a 0 on the bottom, or a minus 30 on the bottom, which is, a goofy solution. Okay, so what do I need to do? Make this taller. 60, 70, 80. And then the second one is So yeah, this is, again, very, very silly. So what if I give them all identifiers and I say, well, this is B, and this is C, and this is D, and this is E, and then each one I alter to get it to be the right size and width, and I make a variable of the height or H or that, and then B is a little less tall, sure. Height is, what would we say, 50 or 40? Oh, 40, because we're not using the box model in that way. If I make the margins of this be a variable as well, and this is a fairly common technique if you watch many of my videos, I use the margins and put these things into place. And so the margins here would be what, 0, 100, or actually probably 30, yeah, 30, 0, no, 0, 30, 200, and then 0, 30, and then if I do, okay, so there, that's the next one. Let's do less or more margins. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 82, and then 210. No, 180, 190, 200, 200, 210, 20, 21, 22. So that's B. And you can see that. And then C is what? C also has a height of 40. This is clearly not optimized at this point. The nice thing about this one is that probably if I flop the 222 and 82, I will get the one on the other side, almost. Minus 30, 40, 50. All right, and then the next one, so I'm doing these not in order, I'm just doing in order of whatever's easy. --H 40, and then margin will be minus 60, 50, and then that'll be symmetric. $172. That's the next one. All right, and then if I add some margin here, or that height is correct, how about 0 there? If I do it right, then the last one will butt up against the bottom, and then I don't have to do E, do anything different for the E. You will use the defaults. All right, so that's a solution. A goofy one, but that's okay. We can't use box shadow to replicate these items because they've got 2 colors in them, right? Like you just can't. Now we could do each of these squares and then have those be outside box shadows to create some of these effects, but you're still going to have to do some of the margin hokey pokey here. So let's minify and replace, and that's the second way to do this guy. Not very efficient, but maybe a better score than the, yeah, so that's a better score. Do I want to do another way today? No, I don't. That's good. That's a good solid 2 techniques. This is one that lends itself to a lot of different techniques. So on any given HTML body, you can do lots of different stuff, right? So so I'm gonna nuke this here. If I do a margin 0 and do a background, I can do no, actually not background. I want to do a box shadow, inset, 0, 10 pixels, and that gets me that line, right? And I could do that on a paragraph tag. So the same, if I add that there, I can do that inset. Granted, it's hard to see there. Like that. And then could I do, what are my other choices? Well, I could I could do an inset like that, but I could also do a regular box shadow like that and then do a negative, and that's another option to do a similar kind of a trick, right? So an inset could be inside or it could be outside, or I could do both, right? Like so I do that and then do 0, 10 pixels, and then the same red, right? So one of those is inside the element, one of those is outside the element. And then if I were getting fancy, I could do even another one of 0, 100 pixels blue, right? So maybe this is, let's see what that looks like. I'm kind of curious. We're still going to have to do the sideways ones, the side ones, and that makes it a little less straightforward. So let's do this all with shadows. I guess I'm doing more of these, even though I didn't really plan to. That's fine. 100, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 70, 72. Okay. So single element that's background, this color. Let's do pink so you can see. This is the actual element, and then everything else is a box shadow. So I'll do the red on the top, the second red, and I guess I need to set this height correctly. 50, 60, 70, 80. There it is. And then I can do So I've set that too far down. How about 20, 30, 40, 50 of the blue, and then 0, 60 pixels of the red, and then 0, 100 pixels of the blue. 110, 20, 30. So that's a single element with all of its shadows. Now, this doesn't solve these problems at all, right? These two on the sides are not solved by this problem, by that technique. So I need to make new elements, and the minute I make another element, it's got all the same attributes. So I would need to. So let's see. Do let's say X. We'll call it X. Why? I don't know. That's the letter that came into my head. So I do box shadow none. And then background, let's give it a distinct color. Orange, there it is. So now I need to put that into place. Okay, so that's got to be margins. Margin minus 100, minus 40. Is that lined up? Is it too high? That might be too high. How about minus 30? No, minus 40 is correct. And then the height, what did we say, 40? No, it's 50. And then the margin, the other ones are, what did we say, 299? No, 222, 082? I think that's correct. And that height is 50, so you have to change that anyway. So then now with our box shadow, inset, 10 pixels, solid, Oh, and interestingly, that box shadow is, or something about the, oh, so because this solid, I'm so used to typing an order, I've created an invalid specifier. There it is. So inset 0, 10 pixels, and then the color gets me that inner thing. And so if I create another one, we'll call that Z. X and Z mean things. They actually mean things in how you would communicate about these things. But this is, you know, a little bit simpler. Wow, it's not really simple. None of these are particularly simple, but they're all sort of learnable. Oh, and then interestingly, so 50. And then the height, I need to set the height as well. So how would we optimize this? We could say make the P plus P selector do these. And then we don't have to do it for both of these. And that's another way to tune this experience. The other thing we can do is we got colors replicated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shadows, right? So because we have to set that color that's using default color, if we set a color of the red, even though we don't have any text, setting the color on the element will set whatever the default for the box shadow is. So that means I can remove all of these instances of the red color as part of the box shadow, which means I can remove that, you know, 3 times. 4 times actually. So let's submit that, make sure we're at 100%. And then we'll minify that one. All the different ways. I kind of like this way. Minify, unit replace, resubmit. That's a fun way to do it. So 3 elements. It's not a better score. All right, that's fun. I said I was going to do just 1 way, then I did 2 ways, and then I said I was going to stop at 2 ways, and now I did 3 ways. So that's 3 ways. Hope you have a good day. Go make a web page. Have fun with it. Share your web page with people. Everybody's got web browsers. It's pretty cool. Bye, everybody.